Hey ladies, I am here with Amanda Sue. She's my lovely friend. We chat all the time, and we actually just finished up a consulting thing together where we work together to launch her website. And so, if it sounds like I'm really familiar with her business or really familiar with her, that's because it's true. We chat every
Just a
single
little.
day. So today she's in the hot seat, and we're actually going to talk about her Tailwind class. She launched it, I believe, last month. It was last month, right? In July?
Yes,
Okay, so she launched it for the first time in July. So she made this class. She launched it at $27, I think. Was that the price?
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, so at $27, she launched this class, and she had some people who they purchased it from her, but she hasn't really done anything with this class since. So, since we're talking about launching this month, I decided for her, I didn't really give her the option. I decided that we would chat about the launch of this thing and what she would like to do moving forward because she's kind of in this transition with her business. She has different things that are going on. And so I thought that this would be a good starting place for us to chat about to kind of figure out where she can go from here. And this will hopefully be useful for you as well because everybody, has to launch something at some point in time, as you probably learned from my masterclass or my workshop earlier this month. So, Amanda, tell me a little bit about the first launch. Tell me your feelings kind of about the class, where you're at with it.
Okay, so as is my habit, the launch was pretty quick turnaround because that tends to be how I work. I need to figure out how to make that work for me though, because I don't seem to excel at the long range planning for a launch. I need to get better at that. So as is my usual, I went, okay, I've got this idea. And then I had already been pondering it. Everybody had been requesting a Tailwind class. And so it was sort of on my long range plans. And then Board Booster went bust. And people were freaking out. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Board Booster, no, Board Booster was my favorite. Oh, I don't know how to handle Tailwind. Oh, new thing, eek. Okay, I guess I need to put this out now. And so I actually did a lot more leading up to it than I usually do, which isn't saying much, but I got on there and I talked about Board Booster on Instagram TV and talked about why I had preferred Tailwind in the first place. I did some Instagram stories kind of explaining what had happened with Board Booster because there were a lot of people that didn't even know what had happened. They hadn't been following the whole ordeal with Pinterest and the Pinners conference and all of that. They missed everything leading up to it. They just knew they woke up one day and Board Booster was like, yo, we're shutting down. Either that or they got the initial email from Pinterest that was like, hey, by the way, if you have a Board Booster account, we think you might be spammy, so you can shut down Board Booster or we're going to shut you down. And they were freaking out about that. And so I was doing a lot of getting on Instagram stories and explaining this is what happened. This is what led up to it. This has been going on for a long time. Board Booster has been very aware of this. We don't know the background. We don't know whether they chose to ignore it or whether they tried and Pinterest was like, not so much. We don't know, but this is what happened. And so I did, no, sweetie, I'm on a call. Shut my door, please. Shut my door. Okay, well then ask Daddy to shut my door. No, I'm on a call. Shh. Her dad's coming. He's like, wait. No. Rescue. Thank you, baby.
Life with kids.
Yes, very much. This is live. Okay. So I did a lot of leading up to it. And then the week before, well, I think I had to reschedule my Tailwind class. I had it scheduled for pretty tight turnaround, and then my husband got called to work the day that I was going to be doing it. And we had a few days heads up. But it was like, okay, well, I try to keep the kids as quiet as possible and do the call anyway, or I reschedule for when he's available. Yeah, let's reschedule for when he's available. Because there's still probably going to be noise even with him watching the kids, but at least we can reduce it. So, so I rescheduled it. And then in the meantime, I decided that I think I had a conversation with you, and we were talking about maybe just doing like a general free class leading up to it about Pinterest, to kind of explain to people like why you should be on Pinterest if you're not using it anyway, and some good smart ideas for getting your Pinterest set up as smartly as possible. That way you can use Tailwind to your best advantage should you decide to add that into the mix. And so that's what happened. Did a free Pinterest class, and then did the Tailwind class.
Now, when you did the free Pinterest class, did you have a lot of people opting into that?
Not as many as I would hoped, but again, it was a really short turnaround. It was even less of a turnaround than the Tailwind class, because it was like in the middle of the Tailwind class, oh, hey, you know what? We should probably do a Pinterest class too. So not as many as I would have hoped, but considering that my list is pretty small and considering that it was a tiny turnaround, I think I had like maybe 10 people opt in. So, I mean, it was more than I thought were going to opt in.
Okay. So that's good though. I mean, the thing that I think you have to think about with any of this, so with the class and with the opt-in, is if people are opting in general, or if they are purchasing in general. I like to say, like, if there's one person who purchases, or if there's 10 people who opt in, then you have something that people need. There are more people out there who need the same thing, but the job is now to figure out how to get them into these things. So how do you feel about the class? Is it something that you feel like you need to redo, or do you feel like it's solid the way that it is and that you could go ahead and relaunch it the way that it is?
I think for the moment, for the amount of time I have on my hands, I think it's not bad. It was pretty, I mean, like, it was a pretty rough, quick and dirty. I wouldn't raise the price on it a whole lot in its current status. The exciting thing though is, like, I'm in school right now, and this month's class is on creative presentations. And so we're learning about how to make slides, that are better than, the average slide. They're talking about how much content is too much, how much is not enough, using visuals effectively, things like that. And I've never really done slides ever. I'm thinking I've done several webinars, and I don't think I've ever done slides with my webinars. I think I've always been like, yo, let's have a conversation, man.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think once I finish the class and I play around with it some, because it's only a 1-month class, and the slideshow is optional. You can just do a video presentation. So I think once I'm done with the class and I have some time to play around with it and figure out whether I want to use the Apple slideshow software, or if I want to use Google's slideshow software, and look around, maybe look on Creative Market for some templates. I'm sure they've got some bomb templates on there. And, kind of play around with it. I think that after that would probably be a good time to, like, really pimp it out and raise the price on it.
Okay. So let's say that you are going to, for now then, you're going to just launch it again, maybe like in a month or two.
Yeah.
It's up to you. So I would say, because you want to make it better, that I wouldn't, in its current state, like, I wouldn't do it as an evergreen thing. I would do it again as like a launch thing. So evergreen, for those who are watching, is that it's always available. And I think if it's always available, you have to make sure that it's really good, that it's the best of the best, because it's actually harder, I feel, to get people into something when it's just they are living on your website. I feel like you actually have to market it more. Whereas when you do a launch, like, you're building up a lot of hype about it and you're talking about it a lot. And people who are tuning in, those are the people who are most likely to buy whatever it is. And if you keep the price point low, then most of the time people will be like, oh, that's a no-brainer. So you said you had it at what, 27? Okay, so I'm thinking that the first thing is that maybe we need to think about what people need before they join Tailwind.
Mm-hmm.
Or like what will convince them that they need Tailwind. So when it comes to an opt-in, I know that you have an opt-in about Pinterest, but that's about a Pinterest audit.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think that's important, I think that that probably serves more like people going into your services perhaps, or
Mm-hmm.
to do like some consulting or something with you,
Yeah.
or if you were going to do like a bigger class on like running your own Pinterest account and, you know, like making it work the best for you. But for Tailwind, I feel like they need to understand why they need Tailwind
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. So do you have any ideas of what you could maybe do for an opt-in with that, or what your people are needing?
Oh no, that's a good one.
So I think for me, you know, in the past, I was using Board Booster. I was one of those people who I'm like, okay, I need Tailwind. Um, so with Board Booster, I didn't know I needed it until somebody told me that I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I know you could absolutely do is I think the one of the best things that you could do is you could start out with a blog post
Mm-hmm.
that is why you need Tailwind. And that blog post could be, you know, something like you need Tailwind for these reasons, and then have a list of reasons.
Okay.
So I think that would be number one that I would personally do, and get that up on your website like as soon as you can,
Okay.
as far as a blog post goes. And I know you want to, Amanda Sue, she wants to do some variety in her posting for her blog. So she wants to have posts that are about Pinterest, but she also wants to have posts that are about other things like her art and living life as an artist. So, I mean, I wouldn't be too concerned, Amanda, about if you are posting like too much about Pinterest right now, or like varying the post, like going back and forth. Like I wouldn't get stuck in like, oh my goodness, I need to have like an art post right now, or thinking about like this has to be perfect. What I would worry about more than anything is you are trying to, you know, sell something,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to have the like supporting kind of foundation to get people into a funnel of sorts, or to get people so that they're ready when you're ready to talk about it.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that's kind of hindered me in the past about putting content out there in general, is that I get hung up on trying to stick with like a pattern or a theme or something. And it's like, I have a fairly small list right now, so it's not like there's a ton of people hanging out with me. The people that are hanging out with me already like me, so they're going to like what I post just because I posted it. And I've never gone back through, you know, like I've never gone back through April's blog and been like, wait, she posted a drink post. That no, that's not right, because she does a color palette, and then she posts a vegan recipe, and then she talks about creative business, and then she posts a drink recipe. This is like totally out of order. I've never done that. You know,
I understand. I understand so completely, because for the longest time, and I still have some hangups about that in my own head, but you know, I felt like it needs to be in a logical order. Like people need to be able to follow along. And I don't think that that is true unless you're doing a series, which you could do a series and you could say, I'm doing a series on Pinterest, and here, you know, like I'm going to do these posts, and you could like plan this out ahead of time and then let people know and kind of link back to these different posts.
Yeah,
so you're connecting them together, and that's better for people who are really interested in this topic. They'll stay on your website longer, and then they'll be able to gather more information from, you know, what you're saying, and they'll be more interested in what it is that you're going to sell.
Yes.
So that could be the way for you to kind of like justify to yourself and be okay with it. And then if you're doing a series, that would be the only time that I would be like, don't post an art post in between.
Yeah.
Because then if you did that, then people might be confused. So that would be my suggestion, is to right now, if that's the thing that you want to sell like in a month's time,
Mm-hmm.
I would start really blogging about it and also get an opt-in where people are thinking about, I need Tailwind. Because you want to get them to the place where they're like, I need Tailwind, but I have no idea how to use it. Because you want them to be primed to buy. If
Mm-hmm.
they don't know that they need Tailwind, then they're going to be like, well, why do I need that class?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to get them to the place where they're like, hey, I need that. So I'm going to try it. They're going to sign up for like the free trial or something. And you can even like pimp out your, your free trial link, or maybe it's not called a free trial link, whatever it's called, whenever they join from your link, a referral link. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
you can use that in your post, and that will also help you too, because it'll help to reduce your cost for Tailwind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that would be the best place to start, is to start with a series of blog posts where you're talking about, why do you need Tailwind? And then next you could talk about the best features about Tailwind or something like that. So you could have like an easy guide to Tailwind tribes and how Tailwind tribes are going to help you to grow your business. So you can start to think about the different things inside of Tailwind, the benefits that it will give to the person who's reading your blog. Start to break those things down and then get those people on your email list. And then when it comes time for you to launch, let's say you're going to launch in a month or you're going to launch in 2 months, then what you can do is you can start saying to those people they'll be like in a segment in your email list.
Mm-hmm.
You can start to say to them, okay, I have a webinar, and you could do the webinar that you already did again if you want, or you might change it up if you've already kind of primed them about Pinterest and that sort of thing. Or you could do like a challenge, which I think would actually work really well for you, to do like a pop-up challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you would be, because you're great on getting on camera, like spur of the moment. You're great
Mm-hmm.
at that. So you could do
Thanks.
like a pop-up Facebook group where you do the challenge, and each day you're just going to walk them through like specific things. And then at the end, you would pitch your class to them. So that's something that I would recommend. What do you think about doing a challenge? Does that,
That could be a lot of fun.
okay, so
I
you're
always hear
not,
people, oh yeah, I always hear people talking about like how great they are for getting engagement and list building and like all of the things. And I know Zach Spuckler is a huge proponent of like the 5-day Facebook challenge things.
mhm.
We just
I
saw
like,
Jessica Stansberry do one that went really
yeah,
well.
yeah. I like them. I feel like they are a little bit of work. So you
Mm-hmm.
do have to put in a little bit of effort to make them all work smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take the time now to start thinking about what you're going to do, what you're going to name it, how, the challenge is going to be run, if you start thinking about all of those things now, then you can plan that out ahead of time. So what I would personally do is I would look at my calendar and think like, what is realistic? What is realistic for me to launch this class again? And I would give yourself enough lead time, because we know that's something that you haven't done in the past. But give yourself enough lead time where you can really have enough content and you will be talking about it enough that you'll have new people into your email list where they'll be primed to buy, because you've already kind of pitched this to your email list in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So those people have already heard about it. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't buy, because maybe they're like, well, I'm not really in the place to buy, this. I haven't signed up for Tailwind. I want to do that, but I don't have the time. But you can address those things
Mm-hmm.
in the time, like from now until then, and start getting new people in too. And so that way you'll have enough people where you can make maybe double what you did last time, or whatever your goal will be.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that I would say as far as like your checklist, as far as what you would need to do, is I would start out by just writing some blog posts. So maybe you would do a series of 4 blog posts, and definitely one of those would be why you need Tailwind. Another one would be maybe something about like the features of Tailwind that, if they're not using it, they would be missing out on. And then maybe 2 others that you come up with yourself. And I would make sure that those are going out once a week for the next month. Then you can start the challenge, so the next month I have to look at a calendar because I'm like, I'm such a, like, I have to see things. So let's say that would take you to mid-September.
Mhm.
And then let's say that your challenge would be like the last week of September and you do like a 5-day challenge. So the last week of September, you could start, getting people into that. So from now until then, you're writing these blog posts, you're promoting these blog posts, and you need to have an opt-in that works with that you can put in each of these blog posts. So you can hopefully get people into your basket of people. Like, so you're going to start gathering these people into a basket, let's say, and they'll be the people who will probably, hopefully, sign up for the challenge. But then some people just sign up because they're like, oh, hey, a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be.
I'm a total challenge nerd. So
me too. Like, I'm the kind of person who I'm like, oh, there's a challenge. Let me sign up. I don't always complete the challenge, but I do like them when they pop up, especially if it's something that I really need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So you can like pimp out your blog posts. I don't know why I'm using pimp out, but
because I said it earlier.
So you can like really promote your blog posts that you have each week. So for the next 4 weeks. And then the 5th week, you would be, so that's the week before your challenge, getting people into that challenge. Then that week, that entire week, you're focused on this challenge. And at the end, you're going to pitch your Tailwind class. Okay. So you would have to think about how the challenge needs to go as far as the 5 days go, with keeping in mind that you don't want to give away what's in the class. So you want to make sure you want to give away valuable information, but you don't want to give away your entire class where they would sign up and feel like, oh, like she talked about this during the challenge. Yeah. So that's where you just have to pay attention. But I mean, that would give you enough time, I think, to write a blog post and put an opt-in in each week. And then you can, that 5th week, I guess it's the 5th week from now, it's the 3rd week of September. Mm-hmm. That week you can like really focus on promoting the challenge, but getting the stuff together for the challenge. Because that's what a lot of times I feel like you have to have that time to figure out what you're going to say, even if it's just like writing an outline, but figuring out how you want to have the challenge go down. Mm-hmm. And making sure that you have the things that you need. So like the templates that you would use to have for each day of what they're going to do, like complete for that day. And then the images that you're going to use to share to promote this challenge. So thinking about each of those things and then having that ready during that week so that when that last week of September comes, you don't have to do as much. So it'll give you like, it's kind of like a buffer week where you can focus on just getting the challenge ready. And you could even on your blog, if you wanted, you could write about it and say like, there's a challenge if you want to join. Okay. And so that way, you wouldn't be blogging, like skipping a blog. So you would be talking specifically about the challenge. So, and then you could launch your course again. So launching, this is like the pre-launch stuff. Mm-hmm. So you're like opening the cart for your class, like at the end of September. And then let's say that you want to have like double or triple the sales. Like whatever you think in your mind that you could achieve. And I would give yourself probably like 3 goals. So like doubling the sales and then like tripling the sales and then like 10 timesing the sales or something like that. So you have some like goals where it's like, this is achievable, this is a little bit of a stretch, and then like this is like, it would be fantastic if I could make this much, or if I could have this many people in the class. And I know that it seems hard, but I'm going to try to go for it. So what do you think about that type of plan? Like, what would be your questions? What would be like where you would feel kind of anxious about it?
I think that sounds fun. I think the major thing is going to be trying to figure out where all I can get more people signing up for this, because that's always my downfall, is getting people on board with something. So I guess like look for promo days at Facebook, or maybe do a boosted Facebook post or something.
Yeah, definitely for the challenge. I would say if you can reserve a little bit of money to do a boost or do a couple of boosts, that would help you quite a bit. Some other things that you might consider, let's see, you can do the promo days like you're saying, but definitely I would say getting your stuff onto Pinterest, which you should know that. So
yes.
I'm speaking to the expert here. But you know, utilizing the things that maybe you just don't take the time for yourself to do, because I know you know the things.
Oh, the classic cobblers.
Right. You don't do it for yourself. So giving yourself the lead time, giving yourself the 4 weeks to write a post and to make sure those posts are on Pinterest, and then to use the Tailwind tribes to promote that stuff for you, to make sure that you have an opt-in in there that is like getting people into your list. You can work on some sales emails like between now and the actual time you launch. So like, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. And even if you only add, let's say 50 people to your list, I mean, that's 50 new people who've never heard about it. And you have to think about, I have a class inside of the membership where you can figure out how much you might make from a launch. But you have to think about what your conversion rate might be, and you have to think about how many people you have. But let's say you have 50 and you have them opting in and they are converting at like a 2% rate. So that means you'd get a sale. So you really want to have more than that, of course, but let's say that that's what you do. And you might actually have more sales because the price point is so low. So you might actually have a higher conversion rate for that, where more people are actually going to purchase your class because they're like, well, this is what I need. It's perfect timing. I loved her challenge. I love her personality. So the price point is like a no-brainer. So you might have more people opting in, even though like by the standards of what people say, like the conversion rate is and how it works with your email list, that you would only have one sale. Maybe you'll have like 15, who knows? So I would say, you know, like,
I already beat the odds.
Right.
With the Tailwind one. And I think that was just because I got on Instagram, and Instagram's one of the places that I happen to do pretty good with. So
that's another thing too. You can talk about each of these blog posts. So I know that you are great at hopping on there and chatting and stuff, but I feel like maybe you could even do better at promoting your stuff and getting people to the blog post itself. And really just like hyping stuff up before you sell, because you would give yourself the lead time. So you have already, you know, broken the standard of how many sales you should get. So you've already shown that this is a product that people want. It's just giving yourself enough time and making sure that you are consistently sharing and talking about it. So if you write each blog post and you treat it like you did your website, because we know when you launched your website, you were proud of it and you shared it and shared it and shared it.
Yep. I did not shout about it.
So if you could do the same thing with each of these blog posts, then, and see people opt in, if you get a really good opt-in,
Yeah.
So that would be something that I would really focus on and try to do in the next couple of months and see where it takes you and see how it goes and then tweak it again. And the thing is that the more that you actually go through the launch and the more that you do this, the more stuff that you're going to have in your arsenal, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because you will have written some blog posts, and then now the next time after you do this, you can write some more. And then eventually it'll be in a place where you can actually make this an evergreen thing where you have all of the stuff that you need, kind of like the backlog of stuff, but that still works, it's still relevant. And then you can make it evergreen where it's just working for you and you don't have to do all of this launching stuff.
Yeah.
So those are my recommendations. Do you have any other questions?
No, that sounds good. Like the Instagram stories, thinking about that tip. Tyler had a tip on a hot seat in his follower to fan society. And I was just like, what? That's awesome. Because he was talking about if you have a blog post with 10 tips on it, use each of those tips for an Instagram story. Like he was talking about like spreading it out over the next 10 weeks or something. But it's like if I was doing like a different tip from my blog post each day or something, really kind of like building up on it. Like that's such an awesome way.
Yeah, I like that idea.
To spread that content out and get it in front of somebody who might not be reading your blog yet. So
yeah.
So I'm definitely going to utilize that idea.
I think just figure out your plan of action. This is something that I talked about, I think, in the workshop, is thinking about what is doable for you, thinking about how often can you post or how often can you talk about it where you're feeling okay about it.
Yeah.
And where. So thinking about where do I really want to talk about this? So if you can plan out that and make sure you're not putting too much on your plate, especially because you're going to school and you're a mom of like a gazillion children. So making sure that it's doable for you. And I think, you're talking about like hopping on Instagram stories. That's a place where you can really do something really easily. It doesn't take a lot of effort for you to do something like that. So I think that would be a great game plan for you. And then maybe, I don't know how fast you can turn around something on YouTube, but making a couple of videos to go.
Well, we've been talking about turning my blog posts into videos. So that would be like a double hit right there. Put up and then
can you do a video every week and also put that on your blog, or does that feel like too much?
I think if I stop like trying to be hyper perfectionist and, like want all of the magic production value of, the people that have been doing this for a billion years, that have a team of 75 people, then yeah, I could do it.
Okay.
That's my major downfall, is like I always want it to be like magic and amazing. And yeah, I don't have the budget for magic and amazing yet. I don't have the team for magic and amazing yet. So
maybe instead focus on the quality of the content and make sure that is amazing instead. Uh-oh, are you frozen? Hello, I think I'm alone. So I am going to look over in the YouTube chat to see if there are any questions over there. And it looks like we're doing okay so far. Let me look in the Facebook group just in case anybody over there said anything, and I don't see any questions. If you ladies have any questions about Tailwind, or if you have any questions about Pinterest, Amanda Sue is in the Creative Biz U membership with you. So she's a great resource, and we're actually going to have her do a guest training for you. And that way you can kind of learn a little bit from her and actually learn a little bit more about how to use Tailwind, how to use Pinterest, and then you can hopefully gain some understanding of why these things are so important. So she still seems frozen. So I am going to go ahead and let you guys go for today. Thank you, Amanda Sue. I know you can't hear me right now, but thank you for being in the hot seat and for allowing me to help you with this process of launching again your Tailwind course. I'm thinking about Tailwind tribes. So I am going to chat with you later and see how this all goes for you. Please keep us updated in the Facebook group because we all want to hear how this whole process goes for you. Feel free to share, and I will see you all next time. Have a good day.